Guys, honestly, it is official. I cannot believe it. I have actually made and surpassed my first quarter million at the age of 25 in the last like 12 months or so. So honestly, guys, I wanted to make this video just because I wanted to break down what it's actually like making your first like quarter million, because that is an absolutely huge milestone for me. I mean, it's only just been since like like May, I think it was May, yeah, it was actually May 2021 when I started kind of like quote unquote blowing up. And actually got my business to that 10k per month mark, which is obviously 120k a year. I've actually just gone straight past the first 100k, and I've actually gone on to make my second 100k and actually my first quarter million at the age of 25. Now I'll just throw some proof on the screen real quick, and you'll see something like 169.5 ish k or something like that in my actual Stripe dashboard. Don't forget, guys, that that's in British pounds, as well as there's also payments from PayPal. I think there's about 15 or 16,000 pounds in PayPal. Then there's actual cryptocurrency payments that I've taken. I've only taken a couple thousand in actual crypto. Things like 1 or 2,000 in crypto, to be honest with you, and that's just because I use that as a last resort. Plus, I've only just started using crypto as like a payment method. And then there's obviously direct wire transfers. I think I've had about 5k in just direct wire transfers from people that have been in like certain countries where their card doesn't really accept or do international transactions, so we've had to do like a wire transfer for whatever reason it's been. So I'm well within the making my first quarter million. I think it's actually around 275k USD that I've actually made in the last 12 months if you combine them all together. Now guys, I just want to quickly break this video down because I did something very similar to this not too long ago. Oh, and by the way, forgive me for not uploading in a while. It's just because I'm a little bit sick. You can probably hear it from my voice. I've been a little bit sick, got a little bit of a flu. So long story short, guys, I want to make this video because I made a video similar to this on my entire journey from being a dropout to an actual quarter millionaire. But at that particular point, like that was only 2 months ago, by the way, I hadn't actually just yet crossed the actual quarter million. I'm not too sure if I did at that particular point. Probably might have. But long story short, there's a difference between actually making a quarter million, right, and being on track to make a quarter million. Because think about it, if you actually see a quarter million, you 250k, right? Divide that by 12, you're coming out about just under 21,000 USD per month you need to make. I far surpassed that with my actual agency and consulting business combined. And I kind of want to break down kind of like what the differences are between, actually making a quarter million and actually being on track. Now, just real quick, being on track obviously means you're hitting months, where you're making, 20k, 21k-ish. It's actually $20,833 to be exact, to be honest with you. That right there, if you can hit that 12 months in a row, you're obviously going to surpass that that 250k mark. Now I've actually been able to do that. We've actually hit months where we're hitting like 32,000 US dollars, which is like 24,000 British pounds or something like that. Now, just for those who are wondering, this is revenue, not exactly profit, and this is before tax, not after tax. So obviously it's a little bit less than this. Obviously over here in the UK we have about things like 19% corporate tax, depending on how much you're actually making. I think I'm in the 19% bracket, I believe. It's 19 or 20%, I believe. I'll have to just quickly double check that. And again, the profit margins with this particular business that I'm running, it depends on actually what I'm selling. Because for something like social media management, right, for my agency, so I do run a social media marketing agency, and I run a consulting business where I help clients basically start a service-based business. That could be a personal brand, it could be a coaching business, it could be a other agency, for example. So I help other agencies start an agency, or I help other people do YouTube and start up their own YouTube channel and get high ticket clients through that. That's basically the only two things I do. And I run an agency, that's like my cash flow business. And then my passion business is just helping other people make money online through some sort of service-based business. That's the business I'm realistically more passionate about. Not because it's like easy or anything like that. I think this actually might be a more difficult business to kind of get started, because you actually have to have some sort of expertise and you have to have a lot of trust as well. But I've actually found that the actual consulting side of the business and stuff like that is my favorite. And the reason for that is because like running Facebook ads for like e-com brands and helping them scale their business from, I don't know, like 20k to like 50k a month or something like that is really, really cool. But they were already at like 20k. That's one of our requirements. We need to work with businesses that are already making money. So it's not really life changing for them, if you will. I mean, it does, more money obviously, improves your lifestyle, but only up until a point. There's the diminishing returns, if you will. Whereas helping somebody go from completely broke to like making like 5.4k in a month, in their first month, for example. I'll throw a screenshot up right now of one of my students, for example. That is way more fulfilling to me. I've just had another student hit the 7.3k per month mark as well with his agency, and I throw that in up on the screen as well. So those are two of my students that have literally really just been killing it. There's loads and loads and loads of them. In fact, there's so many student results that I've got at this particular point that on my Instagram story highlights, if you're not following me on Instagram, by the way, it's just literally at montel.gordon. Be careful, because there are some very like scammy accounts now. It's actually crazy, because I've actually reached a point where there's actual people trying to impersonate me and create fake accounts of me to try scam people. That's literally insane to me. I was literally posting this on my story, and like a load of people were popping up like, that's how you know when you've made it, blah 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 blah, you've gone clear. It's kind of crazy, to be honest with you, because just 4 years ago I was broke. I was in university. I was actually just dropping out of university. I was completely broke. There was a time where I literally had to run away from home. There was a time where I literally couldn't even afford to drive my car. The insurance was like, what, £70 per month or something like that, and I could literally nowhere near afford that. I couldn't even afford like a friggin' haircut, even though my hair looks kind of messy right now. Probably can't afford a haircut. I'm still wearing boohoo clothes and stuff like that, even though I'm a quote unquote actual past the quarter millionaire mark, if you will. Hopefully going on to that millionaire mark very, very soon. So just real quick, guys. So the point I was trying to make there is that I've literally, on my Instagram story, by the way, guys, like my Instagram highlights, if you will, I've got so many student results now that it's literally like hit capacity. Like on your, I didn't even know this was an actual thing. This is like a flex within in itself. I'll throw it on the screen right now, but my highlights, right, with the actual agency tramitation results of people. Agency tramitation is just an online program that you guys can enroll and help you start your own agency out and stuff like that. But that basically, I've got so many student results from that I've literally had to create a secondary highlight reel thingy-majig that you put on your Instagram story, the highlights section, because the first one's actually full. It's actually hit capacity, which is obviously a flex within itself. If that's not a flex, like it says on the actual on the image there, I just put up on the screen, I don't know what is, honestly. So guys, if you want to enroll into tramitation, by the way, that is still open, still available. The price will be going up on the 1st of March by $100. So it's actually going to be increasing by $100, and the reason for that is because I'm releasing more modules. We're starting to do our live Q&As now. The cold email training is starting to get released. The cold email strategy is pretty much all released anyway, and it's just becoming a much better overall product, overall service, overall it's becoming so much more valuable. I'm seeing people who scale their business to like 5.4k in their first month, like quite literally getting their agency from 0 to like 5.4k in a month. I've seen students go from I don't know what Joel was at, but I believe he wasn't at that much at that particular point, and he's now literally at like 7.3k per month every single month with his actual agency. So obviously paying $497 for a program that's going to help you go from 0 to like 7.3k, this is quite cheap, to be honest with you. So I'm definitely going to be increasing the price. Everybody tells me to increase the price anyway, so I'm definitely going to be doing that. Anyway guys, let's talk about how this actually genuinely feels. Honestly guys, it is friggin' insane. I remember telling my dad the other day, I was at a restaurant for my auntie's birthday, so his sister's birthday, and I was like, yo pops, I made my first $250,000. He was like, what on earth are you even talking about? I was like, I know. And he was just like, what are you actually going to do with all that money? Like I was just sitting there like, I actually don't even know. I've just saved most of it. And I remember, because it's funny, because like my parents most of the time ask me if I'm going to do like get like a mortgage and stuff like that, and I try to explain to them, like, if you read Rich Dad Poor Dad, getting a mortgage right now is not actually a smart idea. Some people think it is, and this is the thing what I've noticed as well, guys. What you want to do most of the time, guys, honestly, this is what I've genuinely found out in life, and there's a couple of life lessons that I've learned from making $250,000. They're like, when you see people, like the majority of people, like the masses, if you watch the masses and you see them going right, typically you want to go left most of the time. So for example, they watch a lot of TV, you want to read a lot of books. They consume a lot of content, you want to create a lot of content. They are on social media, you use social media for business. They use it for pleasure, use it for business. So it's pretty much the direct opposite. They party, you sleep and get rest, so you're actually energized, if you will. So I've noticed that it quite literally is, for example, they get a mortgage, you want to buy rental properties, for example. It's a complete opposite. A mortgage is something that you are going to pay off for like, I don't know, 25 years, depending on your mortgage, of course. And that is actually a liability, not an asset. And this is all explained inside of, Rich Dad Poor Dad, which is the book that actually set me all off on my particular journey. Now let me actually break down my journey for you guys real quick, because I just want to make sure you guys know how I'm kind of like making my money and stuff like that. So I do two things, right? It took me about 4 years to get here, by the way, and now I've just hit my first, $250,000 year, which is not bad if you consider like the average university course, like over here in the UK, and I'm pretty sure it's the same in America, is like 4 years. And normally when you come out of your course after 4 years, you're like 50K in debt, then you have to go and find a job. Depending on the job market, it depends on what you can actually get. And then when you get a job, it's normally like a 3K per month, 4K per month salary, nowhere near $250,000 in a year just coming out of university, unless you're like some crazy doctor. And if that's the case, then you're like a neurosurgeon or something like that, you're probably way more in debt than that. Not only that, but your actual course, like kind of like the length of your course, if you will, at university or college, whatever you want to call it, will probably be like 5 to 7 years. I'm pretty sure it takes like 7 years to become a neurosurgeon. By the time, if you give me 3 more years at this business, I guarantee you I'll be a millionaire. And that's my actual goal for the next 2 years, in fact. So in 2 years time, I want to be an actual millionaire. So what I'm trying to say is, compared to if I was to just go down traditional route of university and compare it to where I'm at now, obviously I'm doing way, way better than any of the courses out there that you could possibly take, unless it's some crazy new course I've never even heard of, that like you just, as soon as you finish that course, you're instantly on like a 500K per month, 500K per year, salary straight out the gate, which I'm not too sure if that actually exists. You know, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, by all means. But long story short, guys, here's how I made my first $250,000 online. And if you see me looking over here, just 'cause I got some notes on my computer. Number one, so let me take you back real quick. I've already done this kind of like in another video, so I just quickly briefly do this for you. So I actually tried a clothing line. So I went to university, studied business and ICT, really didn't enjoy it, and I stayed for 3 years just because of my parents' sake, right? I then dropped out of university in my last year. I think I only had a couple months left, but I was so behind on coursework, because I didn't want to, like, it was like, I knew I didn't want to do university, so I just didn't do any of the work anyway. I just didn't turn up. And there was times where I'd literally like get in my car, and I would like, in the mornings, I'd get in my car just to show my parents that it was kind of like me getting up early in the morning. I was waking up early, acting as if I was going into university. I'd get in my car, I would drive it around the corner, wait for them to leave for work, pull my car back onto the driveway, but put it in a slightly different position, so it actually looks like I've gone somewhere and come back. And then I would literally just get back in bed and just like literally just work, or back in bed, or I would just go to sleep, or just work literally on my clothing line. So I had a clothing line back in the day called Claremont Clothing. Sounds like Montclair a little bit. I don't know if I would have got done for trademarks or anything like that, but that didn't really get off the ground because I didn't have any capital, if you will. I didn't know it was that difficult to start a clothing line, but I actually genuinely wanted to start a clothing line back in the day, and that business failed. I'm going to break down these failures in a second, by the way, why they failed and what I've learned differently from, you know, making my first $250,000, if you will. So that clothing line failed, no capital. I then started moving into like drop shipping and stuff like that after I dropped out. This was like 2018, 2019, and I actually documented this on my YouTube channel as well. So if you go back to way back, you'll see my first ever video, which is like becoming an entrepreneur at like $0. Like I literally started with like -2. I actually found a picture the other day of my actual Barclays. I'll try to throw it on the screen for you guys as well. But it's literally a picture of my actual Barclays overdraft. It's like -230 or something like that. I then started selling all my stuff to basically try to generate some cash flow, if you will. So I sold like my Jordans, some Jordan shoes that I have. I used to love collecting Air Jordans. I still have a whole bunch of them. I then sold my iMac, my actual Apple iMac that I had, that was kind of like a gift. Well, no, actually, technically, I actually got that myself from working chores. Me and my brother, I remember, like, we literally put in this crazy amount of work, and we got paid by our parents for doing chores around the house and stuff like that, like, you know, raking the leaves in the gardens, walking the dog, all that sort of stuff. I literally remember this, and we actually was able to like stack up our money and buy iMacs. And then I ended up, you know, this was way before I started university. Then what I had to do is I had to sell that when I dropped out for some cash flow. Started drop shipping. I actually was drop shipping all sorts of stuff, like cat necklaces, dog socks, pet. I was like in the pet industry. And then I moved into like doing Fortnite stuff, and I had like a Fortnite store, and I actually started making some decent money from Fortnite. So that's when it was blowing up, if you will. I then got hit with a cease and desist letter, and it completely just shut me down, obviously because of copyright reasons. I then started trying to sell websites on a website called flipper.com. That didn't really work out too much. So all these businesses kind of failed, to be honest with you. I then moved into SMA, and that actually, and this was like my last straw. I was like, you know what, I've failed so many times. It's really killing me. I'm just gonna stick to SMA, and I don't care how long it takes me. I'm just gonna stick to this over and over and over and over and over again until I actually succeed with it. By the way, it took me about 17 months to actually land me a client that I was genuinely proud of. Obviously, I had clients before that. I had a couple trial clients, which I don't recommend you do. And then I had an actual hair salon in Manchester that I actually closed for like £250, I believe it was. I didn't really even retain them for long. I think it was like they paid me like one time for 1 month. It was terrible, but guys, I like literally my onboarding process was horrible. Didn't really know what I was doing. So much back and forth. It was absolutely terrible. My first ever client was through LinkedIn. There was actually an inbound lead through LinkedIn. They came to me, and it was actually a real estate agent over here in the UK, and they paid me £750 per month for 3 months. So I just closed them through inbound, and that was LinkedIn. It took me 17 months to actually get them. That was actually a client that I was genuinely proud of. I don't know why it took me so long. Oh, I technically do know why it took me so long. It's just because I didn't really know what I was doing. I tried to do it all myself. I tried to go after it all myself, and I really regret that I did that. I wish I just saved up the money and bought like an actual program that actually genuinely made me put skin in the game, because I was just trying to like use all this free YouTube video stuff, and don't get me wrong, YouTube videos are good, and I've actually even had people, you know, make money from my actual YouTube channel itself. But I mean, the program, it's almost like you wouldn't learn how to fly a plane without actually getting some sort of instructor or some sort of guidance or simulation from somewhere or somebody. You wouldn't do that with a car. You wouldn't learn how to drive a car without getting an actual driving instructor. You wouldn't learn how to do taekwondo without a sensei. You wouldn't learn how to swim without a coach. You wouldn't learn how to play basketball without a coach. So why is it any different in business? I really genuinely wish I could just go back and just get myself a coach, basically, or online something. And that's not me even trying to subliminally sell you. This is genuinely what I found. Like, if you think about anything in life, even when you're riding a bike, there's somebody behind. Normally there's stabilizers on. When you take the stabilizers off, there's normally like one of your parents or your older brother or something like that, or your older sister or somebody elder than you guiding you to ride that bike. That's normally what I found. Or it's even sometimes even a friend that knows how to ride a bike, you learn from them. Either or, it's somebody that knows what you want to achieve, that's teaching you the thing that you're trying to do. As in, it's when you learn to ride a bike, even if it's just your friend, that person who's teaching you to ride a bike probably knows how to ride a bike. That's why you're learning from them, why they want to help you learn, help you learn how to ride a bike. So they're going to help you, ride the bike. So long story short, it's the same with business. Business is just a skill that you pick up. That's another thing that I've learned in this entire journey. Business is a skill that anybody can learn. By the way, I used to suck at sales to the point where I used to literally cancel my own sales calls and just not turn up. I'd make some sort of BS excuse, like my actual Wi-Fi went down, or like I just literally wouldn't turn up to the call and just literally just ghost the person, just because I was so scared of talking to people online. Then I went from that to obviously now I'm making like 20 it's actually crazy, $250,000 per year. Even just saying that sounds crazy. Honestly, it just literally sounds crazy. So most of my success though has come from a place called Upwork.com. Now I'm pretty sure you guys have, if you're following the channel, you probably know I talk about Upwork a lot. I'm not affiliated with Upwork. Upwork is just literally a freelance website where there's clients on there that are already hungry for your service. So it's almost like taking your services, or let's say you got a hot dog stand, right? And you're selling hot dogs. A lot of people think that to get more customers, you need to have the best of the best tasting hot dogs with the best of the best ingredients. Whereas realistically, all you really need is a hungry crowd. And what I mean by that is even if your hot dogs taste like shit, right? But you've got a really hungry crowd and you put your hot dogs next to a hungry crowd, it doesn't matter how bad your hot dogs taste, as long as they're relatively decent, of course. And hopefully it's not going to taste like absolute crap, basically. Make sure it just don't taste like absolute crap. But long story short, they're going to sell out. If you've got a hungry crowd, they're going to sell out. And that's just because people who are hungry and they've got like a quote unquote bleeding neck at that point. That's like a very vivid kind of like business analogy. But if they've got a bleeding neck, they're not going to shop around, and you're the only hot dog stand right there and then, they're going to buy your hot dogs, put it that way. So I found that Upwork is basically like taking your services to a hungry crowd and just serving that hungry crowd. That's when by the way, I started Upwork in December 2019. It took me 23 days to get my first client. And out of those 23 days, by the way, I worked about 15. It was actually about 13 days, but there was a 2-day delay before the person that I actually spoke to actually paid me the actual fee. And that was a $600 per month client times 3 months. So I made $1,800 there. Plus on the very first day, I upsold them a funnel that I built out on ClickFunnels. Very, very easy work, by the way. It took me about 30 minutes, something like that, just to change the logos around, because I literally just used a pre-built funnel, and I charged them $500 for that, and I literally made back $2,300 from that particular deal over a 90-day period, and it only took me about 13 days worth of outreach. And this is after 3 years of like kind of like, well, excuse me, it was actually couple of about 17 months, 18 months, whatever it was, of struggling to get clients through cold methods that all these gurus were talking about on their YouTube channel. So I was trying all that, didn't really work. Then I moved to Upwork, things just started moving very quickly. Then it took me about, I think it was about 6 months and 2 weeks or something like that, 6 months and 3 weeks or something like that, to actually scale my agency up to like 5.2k USD, and that's revenue, by the way, in USD. And then from then on, I kind of like coasted for a little bit. I just used Upwork, and I was kind of like My bills are met. I didn't really have any bills at that particular point. I was still living with my girlfriend, so it was like splitting stuff. So it didn't really, my girlfriend at the time, by the way, we didn't really have any like crazy bills or anything like that. Finally got my car back on the road and all that good stuff. Was able to travel to New York. That was absolutely amazing. And then I actually was able to figure out what I like to call the hybrid system. Now the hybrid system basically is this, where I started using Upwork, right? And I got really good at Upwork, like really kind of like mastered it, like to a point where it was like, if I just needed to afford something, I would be like, I'm not going to pay for it. I'm just going to go to Upwork, get a client, and then get that client to pay for it. So for example, if I knew I wanted to get a new car, for example, and just hypothetically speaking, and I knew that the new car was going to be an extra, $250 or £250 on top of what I'm doing. It's just a cool little humble car, going to get it on finance. Like, let's just say that. I would literally just be, this is my mindset. This is how easy Upwork was when I was actually, when I was really going ham on Upwork. No, these days I don't really go ham on Upwork too much because I don't really need to. At this particular point, which I'll explain in a second. But long story short, if I wanted to afford something, I would literally just be like, okay, cool, let's just go to Upwork. I need this amount of clients in order to afford this particular thing here. I would literally just go and do that, and then go and grab a client, and then that client would then give me that cash flow, if you will, obviously in return for services like social media management and stuff like that. And then I would take that money and actually go and afford that said thing, if you will. So that's how the hybrid system came about. So I literally was just thinking in a different currency. I was thinking in how many clients do I need in order to live this lifestyle. That's the currency I was thinking in, and that's when you know you've kind of reached that entrepreneur stuff and that entrepreneur enlightenment, if you will. Because it's funny, because I remember like when I started learning how to buy leads from people that are quality leads, I would start thinking, like whenever I went to go buy something, like go to the club and buy bottle service, and it was like, £200 or something like that, I'd be like, do you know how many leads I could get for that? You start thinking in a different currency, like quite literally, the leads becomes the currency. So the hybrid system works like this. You use Upwork, you stack up small ticket clients, right? And these are clients that are going to come in quite frequently. Like I said, I literally just had a student go from like 0 to 5.4K in a single month. I've had a student go from, I think it was like 1 or 2K or something like that, but it's all the way up to like 7.3K now with his actual agency, with the hybrid system. And that's the Upwork stuff, with Upwork closing lower ticket clients on Upwork. And what you can do from this cash flow now is you can actually invest that into better systems, automated systems, such as hiring appointment setters, first line writers. These first line writers are basically people who write the very first line in your email. It's very, very personalized, because SMA, you have to do lots of outreach to get lots of calls. Lots of calls equals lots of clients, basically, just by the law of averages. If you have 100 calls a week, I'm pretty sure you're not going to be hungry ever. Like even if you're closing like 1%, you're closing like 1 client a week, you're definitely not going to be hungry at that. So long story short, guys, that's basically the hybrid system. Upwork for cash flow, you invest that cash flow into first line writers and lead sources. So that's what I've kind of like learned in my business. Now, looking back, it is so weird, because it's like, now that I've seen how to make $250,000, it's almost like I wouldn't know how not to make $250,000. Again, it sounds so weird. I'm not trying to be egotistical, but it's like, Montel, how did you not see this? And the reason why my business has failed previously, and what I've learned, is that it's not about you and what you want. And I know that you've probably heard this, but it's one of those ones that goes over your head time and time again. You never really grasp it. But what I found, it's actually more about what other people want. If you can help other people get what they want, they will happily pay you in return. And these people on Upwork want their social media managed, they want their Facebook ads done, they want their copywriting done. And if you can do that for them, they will happily pay you in return. Now, the more value you provide to them, the more you can charge, basically. Now, when it comes to the consulting side, it's the exact same thing. This is why I say that consulting SMA, in fact, SMMA is literally just a form of consulting when you think about it. And what I mean by consulting is, I used to think that consulting was like you in a suit flying around in like private, like flying private or flying first class, and you go to people's businesses and you do all this fancy stuff with a briefcase and you're like an expert at everything. I used to think that it was that, but it's actually not that. It's literally just helping somebody go from point A to point B. Now, whether it's through Facebook ads, for example, if you're working with an e-com brand and you want to help them with their Facebook ads, you're still helping them go from point A to point B. But the bridge or the vehicle that you're using, if you will, definitely the vehicle. The vehicle is definitely a better analogy. The vehicle you'd use in that particular case would be Facebook ads or email marketing or whatever it is. Whereas with consulting, for example, it's the same thing. You're helping somebody go from point A to point B. So they're broke right now and they want to get to 10K, for example, and they want to do that through starting an agency. Well, I have a program that helps you start an agency. So the actual program itself becomes the vehicle. It's not Facebook ads this time. Facebook ads might be a part of it, but that's just part of the vehicle, if you will. That might just be the the left rim, if you will. So that's what I'm trying to talk about when it comes to consulting as a whole. Now, another thing I've noticed as well, guys, is that we're all trying to chase this one special script or one special niche or one special offer or one special strategy. And it doesn't really work like that. You have to really figure out what your actual ideal niche wants first, and then figure out the solution for that. And this is what I mean by this. A lot of people, right, will look at a guru talk about Facebook ads on YouTube, for example, and they'll just want to offer Facebook ads to that said niche just because they've heard that guru say it, when they've actually not done any research. They've not found the pain problems, and it's just not really going to work. That's just like, I want to offer Facebook ads because I've heard a guru say it. That doesn't really work. You need to actually figure out what people actually want first, and then build your offer around that and put that in the right place. If you put the right people in the right place, if you can't offer that service. So for example, if you find out that a lot of people right now are wanting like TikTok ads, for example, you don't know how to do TikTok ads, but you've genuinely found that the e-commerce space wants TikTok ads, and you can verify that because you've actually talked to real e-com brand owners, then what you would do is you would go and find people in that particular area that's strong at that, and you put them in place to offer TikTok ads for that particular niche. And that's how you come up with your offer. It's problem first, and then you figure out how to solve the problem. And if you have to put people in place, or you have to learn the skill from scratch yourself, then you go and do that. So guys, that's just a video on basically how I've made my first $250,000. And again, it's a combination through SMMA and just helping people start their own service-based businesses. Those two combined, absolutely like an amazing service that you can actually offer. If you want to copy me, by all means, go ahead and do that. And the way I've done that is through YouTube itself, through social media itself, with my consulting business, and then through Upwork and through cold emails. So when I use Upwork, I use that for cash flow, social media management clients. And then what I do is I go out there and hire people to actually do my first line writing and appointment setting to actually go and get e-com brands for Facebook ads, and I just help them with their Facebook ads. There's literally nothing MLM-y about this, nothing scammy about this. In fact, I genuinely think that you can't even reach these levels if you're going to scam people. Quite literally, I don't even know how these people, when you hear about them, doing all these scams and stuff like that, how did they even get to that place? It's very easy to spot a scam in my particular opinion. You can easily spot a scam from a mile away, guys. So I don't know why, how these people have got away with it for so long, if they have, and if they do, they're not going to get away with it for much longer. Put it that way. So guys, hope you're doing well. Hope you've enjoyed this particular video. And honestly, guys, feels absolutely amazing. Life has changed very, very drastically. I don't really worry about money anymore. I don't really need to work at this particular point. Anyway, guys, my camera's about to run out, so I'll see you guys pretty soon. Peace.